Hello, Namaste. Now we are going to further discuss about the static routes, and in this lecture, we will continue our last session. So this will be the part two. In this session, we will be discussing about the resolving to an exit interface. What is the recursive route lookup? So recursive route lookup occurs when the router has to perform multiple lookups in the routing table before forwarding a packet. A static route that forwards all packets to the next hop IP address goes through the following process. The router first must match static route's destination IP address with the next hop address. The next hop address is then matched to an exit interface. Yeah, in the recursive lookup, if this router wants to go to, let's suppose, 2.0, then this router must have destination IP addresses and the next hop IP address of 172.16.2.2. The next hop address is then matched to an exit interface. Okay, and then this next hop address must match to the exit interface. Configuring a static route with an exit interface. Static routes configured with an exit interface are more efficient because the routing table can resolve the exit interface in a single search instead of two searches. Example of syntax required to configure a static route with an exit interface. Okay, here if we enable the debug IP command, then you can see here the four routes are removed. Only one route is left in the table. uh, four routes. Modifying static routes. Existing static routes cannot be modified, and the old static route must be deleted by placing a no in front of the IP route. Example, no IP route, this is the destination and this is the next hop IP address. A new static route must be rewritten in the configuration. So for example, if we delete this IP route, then we can add another route with exit interface. Similarly, this is the next hop IP addresses and this is the exit interface. Similarly, no IP route, destination, IP address, subnet, and subnet marks, and the next hop IP address. Similarly, IP route, destination, subnet walk, subnet marks, and then the exit interface. Similarly, we do for other routers as well. Verifying the static route configuration, use the following command: show running config, verify the static route has been entered correctly. Show IP route, verify route has configured in routing table. Issue ping command to verify packets can reach a destination and that return path is working. So the return path is working or not, that also we need to verify. Uh, Ethernet interfaces and ARP. If a static route is configured, an Ethernet link and packet is sent to the next hop router, then destination MAC address will be the address of the next hop Ethernet interface. This is found by the router consulting the ARP table. If an entry isn't found, then ARP request will be sent out. So if there will be no request, then the router will forward the ARP request, and through the ARP request, it will learn the MAC address of an IP. So this focus this once again. The destination MAC address will be the address of the next hop Ethernet interface. Okay, so the MAC address will always be limited to a particular LAN segment. So as per that, the destination MAC address will be the address of the next hop Ethernet interface. So the destination MAC address for this router will be fast Ethernet 0/1, and this is found by the router consulting the ARP table. Okay, how the IP2 MAC is resolved is through the ARP table. If an entry isn't found, then the ARP request will be sent out. Summarizing routes reduces the size of the routing table. Route summarization is the process of combining a number of static routes into a single static route. Configuring a summary route. Delete the current static route, configure the summary static route, and verify the new static route. So this is something we will do here. We have 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Then we will summarize into 172.6.0, and then we will ping, and if the ping is success, then it's okay. Default static route, and this is the route that will match all packets. Stop routers that have a number of static routes all exiting the same interface are good candidate for default route. Like a route summarization, this will help reduce the size of the routing table. Okay, the default static route will be used if all the exiting interface have a same number of static routes. Configuring the default static route similar to configuring a static route, except that destination IP address and subnet marks are all zeros. Okay, here we have no, this is the destination subnet walk and this is the subnet marks, exit interface on the IP address. Static routes and subnet marks. The routing table lookup process will use the most specific match when comparing the destination IP address and subnet marks. Default static routes and subnet marks. Since the subnet marks used on a default static route is all network, all packets will match. Okay. Use the most specific match when comparing a destination IP address and subnet marks. This is the difference between the static routes and default static routes. For packet forwarding with static routes, recall Jennings' three routing principle. Router 1, packet arrives on R1, fast Ethernet 0/0. Interface R1 does not have a route to the destination network 192.168.2.0. R1 uses the default static route. So it will use the default static route to go to the 192.168.2.0. Static routes and packet forwarding. Packet forwarding with static routes. Recall Jennings' three routing principle. Router 2. Then the packet will reach here. The packet arrives on serial 0/0 interface on R2. R2 has the static routes to 192.168.2.0 out of the serial interface 0/0/1. Packet forwarding with static routes. Recall Jennings' three routing principle. The packet arrives on a serial interface 0/0/1 on R3 and R3 has connected directly connected route to 192.168.2.0 out fast Ethernet 0/1. Mm, okay, this is the first 0/1. Troubleshooting a missing route. Tools that can be used to isolate a routing problems include ping, test end-to-end connectivity, traceroute, used to discover all the hops, routers along the path between 2 points, IP route, used to display routing table and associated forwarding process. IP interface brief, used to show status of a router interface. CDP neighbors detail, used to gather configuration information about directly connected neighbors. Solving a missing route. Finding missing or misconfigured routes requires methodically using the correct tools. Start with the ping. If ping fails, then use a trace route to determine where packets are failing to arrive. Issue. IP route to examine routing table. If there is a problem with misconfigured static route, remove the static route, then reconfigure the new static route. Okay, this is our network. IP route 172.16.3.0 is directly connected. For example, in R2, 2 dot okay 1.0, 2.0 and 3.0 is directly connected networks for the R2. For example, if this need to move to 192.168.1.0 is directly connected through serial. Yeah, this is the one and is directly connected to network serial 0/0/1. Okay, operate at layer 3. Function include the base path selection uh, and forwarding packets, connecting networks when serial cables are connected to a router serial ports. In the lab environment, clock rate must be configured for DC. Straight through cables or crossover cables are used to connect to fast Ethernet port. The type of cable used depends on what devices are being connected. CDP, Cisco Discovery Protocol, a layer 2 proprietary protocol used to discover information about directly connected Cisco devices. Static route. This is manually configured path that specifies how the router will get to a certain point using a certain path. This is the several static routes that have been condensed into a single static route. It is the route packets used if there is no other possible match for this destination in the routing table. Jennings' three routing principle describe how the packets are forwarded. Troubleshooting static routes may require some of the following commands like ping, trace route, swipe interface brief, source CDP neighbor details. Okay, thank you for viewing and hope this lecture or this presentation is very helpful to you. Thank you very much, and if you have any question, please comment below. We will try to answer it as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your time.